All right, welcome back in Northern California. Here checking out the intertidal species that can be found in this ecotone zone. You know, ecotone, the boundary conversion of two different habitats: aquatic, terrestrial. I guess more specifically marine and terrestrial. I believe where I'm standing right now is kind of like tidal mudflats. I think where I'm at in Northern California, a lot of the tidal basins, they're really flat and muddy, and that provides a unique habitat. The type of marine climate that this area experiences favors certain animal and plant species within this geographic region. There are different animals here than as opposed to a mudflat out in Southern California, at least different assemblages of them. So as right now, the sun is going down, so the light is going to be diminishing. There are plenty of people out here digging for clams, catching crabs. Actually, that's why I'm out here too. We're going to catch some crabs. But you know, as time goes by, you're going to see that sun go down and this water line widen and expand, and you're going to see much more of this eelgrass right here being exposed, and hopefully there'll be some interesting critters that'll pop up as this mudflat gets exposed. Okay, so before we start looking around what's found on the shoreline here. Oh, what is that? Is that a ringneck duck? I have no idea what duck that is. Anyway, yeah, so before we get started, I'm gonna throw out this contraption right here. This is called a crab snare. This is what many Northern Californianos, this is what most Northern Californians who want to catch crab use if you don't have a boat or anything like that, if you don't have access to use one of the hoop nets. Anyway, this is a crab snare. You can see it's just made out of like this kind of like bent galvanized steel. I added a weight to it. It's got these little noose loops, so when the crab comes up on it and starts eating the bait, when I yank it, it's supposed to noose the legs or the claws or something of the crab so it won't get away. All right, so the type of bait I'm using is this is Ingrallus mordax, otherwise known as the northern anchovy. So it's the same type of anchovy that you might, you know, throw in your on your pizza, or, you know, use in Caesar salads and stuff. In the clupiform order, clupiformes, related to herring and shad. It's sort of an ancient order of fish. They only have one dorsal fin. They have very soft bodies, very soft skeleton. If you ever ate one of these, you can pretty much bite through the skeleton and eat the bones. Anyway, so that's what's in this bait cage, and I'm about to toss it out and hopefully bring up some marine arthropods on the end of this snare. All right, I think we're ready to go. Let's see if I can do this. All right, here we go. I'm not gonna throw it out too far because, to be honest, those crabs aren't really out that far. They're just beyond the shoreline here, and I'm just gonna walk back a little bit. Wanna stuff it into the ground here. That shouldn't go anywhere. All right, maybe we can start biologizing now. So while we still got some light left, let's talk about what's obvious in front of us right now. We got this plant growing right here, and it indeed is a plant. This right here, I'm just gonna take one little leaf. This is Zostera marina, otherwise known as common eelgrass, and it is common. It is found all over estuarine systems and marine ecosystems all over the northern hemisphere. The presence of this species provides habitat for a myriad of creatures all over the world, especially young fish. You tend to see a trend in young fish using eelgrass beds as a nursery location. So like, for example, the California halibut will go into estuarine systems and you know, release their brood there, and then those young fish will grow and develop in these estuarine type of environments where they're not in the presence of any potential predators that might feed upon them. Then they grow up there till they get a certain size, and then just start moving out into the open ocean where they themselves can be a top predator. So yeah, the eelgrass, it's in its own family. It's the family is Zosteraceae, but it's a monocot, so it's got parallel running xylem and phloem tissue that go through the body of the plant, or through the leaves of the plant, or through the blades of the plant. Since it is a monocot, it's actually more related to like lilies and grass than it is related to maybe like daisies or walnuts or something like that. Apparently, I mean, there's plenty of eelgrass beds around the world, especially in the northern hemisphere, but apparently this type of habitat is diminishing. The eelgrass is running low. I guess with the increased development, increased human activity, it's becoming harder and harder for these eelgrass beds to maintain themselves and to establish in other areas. Oh, look what we got here. Well, see, I told you it wasn't that difficult to find crustacean species here in Northern California along these intertidal mudflats. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and pull this one out. All right. Okay, wash it off. All right. Okay, this right here is one of the species actually that I'm targeting. This is Metacarcinus magister, otherwise known as the Dungeness crab, better known as the Dungeness crab. Probably the most tasty crab that is in existence right now. This is a female because I can see the telson here, right here. Fishermen like to call this the apron because it, I don't know, drapes itself like an apron underneath the body. Anyway, that's the telson, which is basically the abdomen portion of an arthropod, or of a crustacean and an insect, essentially. But this is a flap that it uses where it has these, I think these are called pleopods or pleuropods. Yeah, these hairy things right here. As a female, this is where the eggs will attach, and then she'll keep the eggs underneath this apron and kind of move them and get them well oxygenated and everything as the eggs are developing. Notice it's got these claws because it's a classic, you know, classic crab shape, these claws. One way you can tell it's Metacarcinus magister is because the dorsal portion of the claws is serrated here, as opposed to the two other common crab species that you can find here. I got it out of the water too long. I'm gonna put it back. Hopefully I can catch a bigger one so all the features are easy to see. But one of the main things of these ecologically, or their ecological niche, their biological niche, is essentially burying in the sand, using these antennae up here to sense any food particles in the water, and then it quickly unburies itself and runs over to that food source to eat it while it's still there. And the reason why these are such a prized food item is because of these juicy legs. And hopefully we catch another crab species so I can compare the legs and all the other morphological differences between crab species that can be found out here in Northern California. But yeah, for now, this is a small female Metacarcinus magister, the Dungeness crab. Let's put it back. Watch, see how she moves. And then more than likely, because I spooked her, she's gonna get in a defensive posture and probably bury herself. Oh, the sun's going down too fast. Hopefully I can get some good footage to show. But we're gonna pull this crab trap. Tuck this into my belly. The key is to pull really hard. Don't stop cranking. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, I don't got shit. Don't have anything. Yeah, first pull, nothing. But you know what? The tide is going out, and the outgoing tide is not a very good time to catch crabs. But it's fine though. Actually, I'm gonna reel it in even closer. See, I mean, you saw how that crab was like so close to the shoreline right here. There's probably more crabs even closer. There's something been eating the bait though. Yeah, let's just put it a few feet in front of us and see what happens. Oh yeah, like this right here. So I didn't know what this was, and I looked it up, and I believe this is I think this is in the genus Gracilariopsis. Gracilariopsis. These scientific names, I'm telling you. You know, I know scientific names can be hard, but really, you know, it pays to learn them. It pays to at least recognize what they are, as opposed to common names, because, you know, common names can be misleading, but scientific names at least keep you on track of what's related to each other. Anyway, this is Gracilariopsis. It is in the rhodophyta or red algae, I believe, at least when I looked it up. Although it kind of looks like a phaeophyte and kind of looks like brown algae. But if this is what I think it is, if this is Gracilariopsis, then this is in the rhodophyta, the red algae. And I really don't know if it's native here or introduced or anything like that. Yeah, I'm gonna come clean right now. Even though I like biology, I don't know everything about it. You know, there's still plenty of stuff that I don't know. I'm a native from Southern California. I grew up in the city. I actually had to make an effort to go out into nature and to observe all these things. So much of an effort that I made it a career to be a biologist. But even having like a professional career looking at life, there's still a whole lot that I really don't know. There's so many questions, but you know, answering those questions is basically never gonna make life boring for me, ever. Okay, so here we go again. If you can see right there, we have our second crustacean species that I'm about to pull out and show you. Here we go. Let's get her out. Let's get her out. Okay, all right. There we go. There we go. Let's wash it off. Okay. All right. Okay, another female. Okay, now this species was actually, I didn't think I was gonna get this species. Anyway, this is Romalion attenuarum or attenuaris or something like that. In the family Cancridae, which is the family, I guess, of true crabs. And it's got that classic, you know, crab shape. Like if you were to draw a crab from memory, if you don't know any better, you'd probably draw a crab that looks very similar to this, or the Dungeness crab. So it has a different biological strategy compared to the Dungeness crab. Let's turn it over right here. So again, you can see it's a female because this telson or apron, as fishermen call it, is very wide and flat, whereas males is really long and thin. If you notice here that these legs, compared to the Dungeness crab, they're pretty small. You know, they're not that meaty. However, the claws right here are very meaty, or the manus. I think this is called the manus. These crustacean biologists call it that, the manus. These are very, very beefy, and you can tell, and you very well know that these are used to crack open probably you know, clamshells, rip apart fish. I mean, they're big and bulky, and they probably have much more power than a Dungeness crab's claws do. You know, there's no serrations, no spikes on top of this claw, as opposed to the Dungeness crab. Small legs, big claws. I think the common name for this is the brown rock crab. There is another species of rock crab here in Northern California, unlike the Dungeness crab that has big beefy legs so it can basically sprint to a food source. These guys hang out more along the rocks or in, you know, eelgrass beds like this, and they'll come out slowly and make their way slowly to whatever food source they're looking for, dead fish, dead mammal, whatever. And then they'll use those big powerful claws to just pick it apart. The exoskeleton on these things is much more stronger than a Dungeness crab. Dungeness crab is light, like a Ferrari. This one's built like a tractor, essentially. It just uses these claws to excavate and eviscerate and rip things up. I mean, the Dungeness crab will rip things up too, but the Dungeness crab is just much better at getting to the food source faster. These guys are just like chill in these eelgrass beds or even along the edges of rocks and jetties and stuff like that. And when the right time comes out, they'll pop out and do their biology thing, their feeding thing. Another way you can tell that this is Romalion attenuaris is that it's got these long antennae. Its antennae are super long. As opposed to the red rock crab, Cancer productus, they have much shorter antennae. Metacarcinus magister has pretty short antennae too. But yeah, Romalion attenuaris, the brown rock crab, the common name is what people call it. Small legs, beefy claws, slow moving individual, not a sprinter like the Dungeness. All right, let's let it go, see what it does. She's probably gonna bury herself too. There she goes, burying herself. Yeah, see, this is why Northern California is dope, because you got these giant bugs, these giant arthropods that you can just easily see, easily observe at these low tide conditions. All right, time to check. Let's do this. Oh yeah, it's feeling good. It's feeling real good. It's feeling real good. Notice that I'm struggling with my voice. That's how you know you got something that might be worth it on there. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. I think, I don't know. Oh, look at it run. Look at it run. Get it. I got you.
It's close.
Yeah, it is close. We're gonna have to measure this one. Yeah, it might be. Oh, it's a male at least.
Oh, you're recording too?
Yeah. That was my boy Drew. You came out here to go crabbing with me. Okay. Whew. All right. Let's wash them off. All right. Excellent. So now I can tell you exactly what I was talking about. Now this is an interesting individual, and there's a lot that you can tell about this individual right here. Okay, so first of all, what we got right here is Metacarcinus magister, better known as the Dungeness crab. And again, probably one of the more tasty crab species that you're ever gonna eat if you like eating crab. First thing I wanna point out that's obvious are these big, fat, juicy, voluptuous Beyonce legs meant for speed, like a track star. These guys will remain buried in the sand using these antennae. They basically pop up out the sand like they hear the ice cream truck coming, and they go to whatever food source they're smelling. These claws, pretty big claws, but you know, not nowhere near as beefy as the claws of that rock crab that we saw earlier. If you notice here, it's got this little itty bitty claw. So this one probably broke off in a fight, or maybe from the snare trap of another fisherman or something like that. And it's starting to grow back. And that's one thing that arthropods are really good at doing, is growing back limbs, growing back appendages. So got this little itty bitty claw right here and this big claw right here. Another thing I want to point out that Dungeness have that is not quite unique to the Dungeness, but it's more prominent on a Dungeness, are these hairs right here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got this like kind of plumose texture on its exoskeleton. And that's because it lives in sandy environments. It lives in more bare sandy environments. Like right here is an eelgrass bed, and you will find Dungeness in there, but it prefers to be found out in the basically sand barrens of the tidal mud flats and in the open ocean. And that's where they kind of hang out. And they have this hair right there basically to help filter out sand. So inside this carapace is pretty hollow, and there's gills. There's an array of gills in there. So it sucks in water through here, coats it in, the gills get coated in that oxygen-rich water, and then it gets siphoned back out again. So this sand helps filter sand particles from going inside of its breathing apparatus underneath that carapace. Let me dunk it again so it doesn't suffocate. Notice how they get revived once you dunk them in fresh water, because they're really good at extracting oxygen out of the water. Now this one is a male because its telson, or its abdomen right here, is nice and long and skinny, and that's because it doesn't need to hold eggs. It doesn't need that surface area to hold those eggs. And usually males are much bigger than females. I mean, females can get pretty big, but males are much more bigger and buffer. And I think that's likely due to competition between males to find to get the most females, to basically push out any other rival males, basically strong arm them out of mating. But yeah, the Dungeness crab, Metacarcinus magister, a male. Look, it's got some barnacles, another crustacean living on the surface of another crustacean. To me, that's interesting. Anyway, yeah, Metacarcinus magister, the Dungeness crab, out here in the tidal flats of Northern California. Now, when I release this thing, look how fast it moves away. Watch this. Yeah, see, much more faster than that rock crab. See how fast it moves. And that's what they do. They move like little Ferraris down there. They gotta move fast because that's their biological niche, being the first to a new food source that may present itself in here. And in order to do that, you need those big beefy legs and that physiology that makes you run fast, literally run fast underneath the water. And arthropods, you gotta love them though. Yeah, hopefully this is a clear spot right here. Hopefully you can see like all these holes. How many worms, clams, ghost shrimp that are up in these holes. Oh, whatever that big ass hole is right there. I wonder what's in that. I need to come back out here for real though, with some tools. All right, the sun is fully down, and it's gonna get darker and darker by the second now, which means I should probably end this video. I apologize, you know, if I couldn't look at everything that I wanted to look at because I was unprepared. But I mean, nonetheless, I kind of now have an idea of what can be found here, and I am now vowing to come back and get a much closer look at the organisms that are found in this particular ecosystem. But until then, y'all gonna have to wait. But yeah, I mean, I hope you learned something about you know, the different types of cancrid species here. Cancridii is the family of crabs, and you know, there are different morphologies and body shapes and structures that allow them to exploit their own biological niche, and hopefully you can take that into account as far as how these organisms fit into the world with all the other organisms. Yeah, it's time to sign out. But anyway, yeah, you know, just keep your decisions scientific and stay away from all the gimmicks. I'm Mick about a slice. Peace up, peace out. Go ahead and learn something.